To the driver of EOT378K, this is the police. You are totally surrounded. Turn off your engine and step out of the vehicle. You're wanted in connection with driving EOT illegally on the road. So stop right there, freeze, and stand still, laddie. Come on, hurry! That weren't supposed to happen, not that quick. Welcome back in, episode 23. Left you in 22. Just getting all that stuff ready. If you've not seen it, flick back to 22 and you'll see this bad boy pop being salvaged and investigated for repair. And indeed it does need repair. Needs a new front end on it. Corrosion's gone too bad there. This is our donor piece of metal, as you saw in episode 22. We need this on the car, but it needs to be repaired. Unfortunately, even the donor metal didn't survive the dip. Or it's not that it didn't survive the dip, it's just the dip revealed the true state of play. So luckily into stores we've got enough metal to create our repair section with this old piece of cut up chassis. So I'm doing my usual procedure. We've got to salvage it out of here, get this lid off, cut the piece out that we need and start getting it ready to graft into the front end of this one. So what we'll do for you, I'll record the entire process in fast forward. So onto the tripod you go straight away. There's no point me taking real-time footage of this because it's quite monotonous, but I'll speed you up, save you the pain. I'll speed you up, so I'll stick you on the tripod and let's just get cutting into this. It's not a job I'm relishing, it's got to be done. So it's a long road ahead of us, but let's get on and hack our way through the jungle. Okay, so we'll have a look inside here and we can see that you'll hear next door's leaf blower going, don't worry. Even this one was on its way to being attacked. No one's safe. But what we're going to do now is slice straight across there, because this is the only piece that we need. Okay, so it's 1 milli down, across we go. Cut that out. Don't need all of that. Just need this piece. Okay, let me cut that out. Okay, you join us overhead, and I need new shoes. Whoa. Okay, join us overhead. What I'm going to use, we've now worked out the amount that I need to cut off for the donor. I'm going to use a bigger blade just to get a more even cut. I'm going to go across. We're just going to pinch a little bit of this over bracket as well, because we're going to use that. We're going to fuse it together, but stay on and I'll cut this off. You just bear right on with me and we'll cut this off. Okay, we're chopped. And now, a bolt through the old piece of metal, the old chassis section. Pull the end of the tape measure tight against the bolt and measure that back bracket, giving us 25.1 mil. So all we have to do when we fit this piece, put the bolt in, bring it backwards and forwards till we get 25.1, and because we're going to cut it slightly short, there'll be room to move it, but we'll have plates under here that'll slide in and out, and then we'll get a nice, very nice continuous weld on it. It's going to have to be strong. We'll reinforce it from the inside as well. So I'm going to make the cut on this now and get this old metal out of the way, knowing that that was our distance. So we've got our datum point, so we need to now cut that off and then get ready. And you can see that this has lost a little bit of its end. We can either pinch and use that piece, or if we look over here, here's the end of it. In fact, this is what we agreed on doing, isn't it? We'll just take that off and we'll have to re-weld that back on, but that's because I needed to take this off. I didn't realise I was going to need extra chassis legs, because I thought the Portuguese ones were okay. So if not, then, well, I actually couldn't get this out without cutting that. The position that it was, where it was stored, had to be sliced. So we have to adapt round what we did. We're lucky that we've even got the bits. So there you go. That's all ready to start making that graft. We'll shot blast this as one complete unit when it's done. I'm going to weld it all up first. Okay, let me make that cut there, then I'll bring you straight on to us offering this up. Here we go. We're actually not going as bad as I thought. Alright, cut, shut, lined up on the block, and our measurement back in 25.1. You'll see there's a reasonable gap to fill. Very difficult to get a totally flush fit with it, so I've chopped either end, got that measurement back there. We can also got some extra measurements as well with the curve, the radius of the curve. I've took them, so when we lay it on the floor I can take measurement points. So put a couple of measurements. So a little mini jig formed. I'm going to just get some tacks on it now, and then flip it round a little bit, check everything, then I'll put the infill plates in from the back. We're ready to get some tacks on now, so we're going okay. Okay, in we go. I'll just show you the measuring jig now. We've got some tacks on, welds on. What we did is we screwed the back section to a piece of wood at the back here and marked out where it is, and there's some screws on both sides. And then what I did was, when it was on there, I measured from a fixed point here to the base of the board. So that gave me the height. So what I do is when we re-put it back on after we'd cut it, chock it up till it gets to that 11.5, which is there. I've marked the tape measure points, 11.5 there to the board. Then before we'd cut it, we'd measured everything along here relative to the board, 3 fixed points, 12.5 there, 11 there, and 8 there. So that gives you that curve. Because when I fix this to the chassis, it could kick up or it could kick down. I mean, I know you can get a rough idea by going flush across the top, but it is on a curve. So the idea was to copy these distances down, then tack it at the top, which is what I did, and then bend it just a little bit till you get these at the bottom. But before I tacked it at the top, we put the bolt through the middle, and then we took quite a few measurements from that. I went from that spring mount top plate to the bolt. I went from that little knobble which holds the bump stop rubber on to the bolt, and copied them all across from the original Bramble chassis, which is over here. So we measured from there and we put the bolt in and made sure that when this is placed on there, you can pull it forward or backwards. It ended up being quite a big gap, but that doesn't matter because we're putting plates behind it. So there's no way you could cut that, and I suppose you could have done cut that so it landed exactly correct. You had to have it so you could move this around and get it all in to follow the measurements, which it does now. 31.5 from that. If I take this out, I'll show you what I mean. In that goes to here, this way round because of gravity. Whoops, I hit the tripod, sorry. Trying to keep you steady, gets a little bit tricky sometimes. Okay, to the end of there, 31.5 on there, you see it. I can't quite see it, I ain't got my glasses on. Just took them off for welding, you see. Incidentally, my welder mask has a built-in reading lens, so I take my glasses off when I'm welding, and there's a reading lens built into the welding mask. That's why I've not put them back on. Anyway, enough of that. All these measurements, copy across, even across the shock absorber mount, is 10 to the middle of that hole, go across to the shock absorber mount, 10 to the middle of that hole. So we're copying across all the time with everything, and relatively it's spaced out the same as it was when it came off before we chopped it. Bearing in mind we chopped the donor section up, not Bramble's. Brambles was beyond it. Okay, so it's now time, a few more tacks, then spin it upside down and put some infill plates at the back and get some very good strong welds on there and get that solid. And then we can address fixing the tail end of it. Should look a bit like this, but not without the holes. We've just about got the pieces to do that, and then eventually we've got there. Okay, a few hours on this. Right, I'll keep going, get some more welds, let's flip it over and get the reinforcer plates in at the back and get that ground in nice. We should be able to blend that so you can't see. Okay, let's bring you into the piece as we continue on. Now these fillet welds go in. Now what I've done, I've used another scrap piece of chassis, same profile, and pulled a band of metal out of it, the same profile, which slots over. You have to cut a couple of slots in the actual band so that it'll go in and fit, actually slot inside. Now it's going to be proud on that bit and proud on these bits, so we grind them off after, but first we can get the welding from the back. Now it's a backing plate, and then we can leave the inner ones on, but any contact face with the floor pan's got to be taken off because it won't run flush here. But these just go on now. You can see another one in there. We're going to flip it over, then do a complete infill, and then take this off. So with the infill, we're ready to go. Okay, so I'll flip it over and get some more weld in there, but we've made a welding band strip for it. Going okay. Some welding going in, down in the middle and round, both sides of the fillet plate, and then the missing piece of the jigsaw is just here for you. The missing end section of our donor. We're ready to just plug and play, I hope. Rocking it off the last of the spot welds. I couldn't quite get in the full depth this time with the drill bit. It's now done over 150 to 200 welds, and that one's ready to change. It's getting a bit, it can't quite get the depth, so we need a new one, but I've got some well out of that one. So here's our last section. Gloves just off. Gloves are just off for a sec. And I'm just recovering from a filling, so my mouth's numb. Right, this goes on there, and indeed it is the donor piece. It's the same cut. This reunited back with its original metal, so we ended up it coming fully in use. Look, you can see where that got chopped when it was being used to get this salvaged. So we couldn't have got any other way. So really that completes the chassis. If we can get that welded on there now, I think we're doing really well. So we'll get another plate to line the inside of that. Just use some cut up steel now for this, and we shall get the MIG on, and that's all the welding finished, and then we'll tidy up and then start cleaning the grinds, welding fumes, start cleaning up the grinds. No, I've done it again. Start grinding up the welds and cleaning up the welds. There you go. Some of this has got paint on it which was burning back. The joys of having nice dipped metal versus salvage parts. You get this, look, you can see, and I don't like them fumes. I had the doors open, but still gets to me. Okay, just happens that way. Fumes go straight to my head like Perrier does. Right, next, straighten that lip that was slightly damaged. We'll hammer that straight. Offer this up, get the exact dimension. Now we can use that hole to measure the distance from, say, we'll use the bolts again. No harm in putting the bolt back through there. And then spacing that out, it'll have lost a little bit of distance. May as well get it exactly right. And then we're good to go. So I'll jump you straight to the finished article. No need to see the usual prepping for that, unless you really want to. Answers on a postcard, please. Looking good. Okay, that end piece filleted and welded on. All we've got to do now is maybe a little extension just here, because I think this was cut even so a little bit shorter. Looking at this one, just lost a little bit at the end, not much, but it needs a piece extending out so it can slot nicely into the chassis receiving end. So we'll do that as well. Blackbirds are with us. Some nice blackbird song today. Listen to that bad boy. Now, is it male or female blackbird? I don't know. I'll have to find out. We had a skylark this morning, which was nice too. Not heard the Skylarks for a while. Hopefully they're making a return. And good news on the bees. The bees, pesticides, France makes the ban. Happy about that. So maybe the bees will come back too, let's hope so. Nature and everything, and a bit of welding. Okay, I'm gonna shall we get the crocky out? Come on, you know you want to see the crocky in, and crocky all these areas nice so we can start to get some inspiration. Not that we haven't got any, but even more. And then we'll do that extension. So I'll crocky, and then we'll extend that little piece. Okay. A bit more welding to finish off. Okay, can you see me up there? One fill there's gonna get burnt. Hold on. Can you see me up there? We're down here. You're up there. And now, hold on, the helmet's just slipping. Now I've got to think. I've got to crack it up with the fumes, man! The fumes turn the machines back on! Right, we're doing the extended piece. That's the end piece. Can I show you that? This is it. We're doing this. We've got to put that on because that was missing off this repair. We're doing good. The chassis leg's nearly done. Okay. Are you good to go? Chassis leg's nearly done. You're up above. I'm down below. This is the fillet, so let's go. Are you ready? Okay, just by my feet is an almost completed section. Little bit of a grinding disc on the 4-inch Mk3 grinder there, just to take the heads off some of the welds. I've done one side. Helped with a crock sander, no point wasting belts. If you can get in with a wheel, it's alright. Crocky for those tight areas or little intricate bits, but for them large runs, I've just gone in with the, I'll show you what I used, the little grinding wheel standard, the old school style. And in you go, just to save the belts. But now we're going to swap to crocky, because if you look, we need to, gloves are getting burnt, we need to get inside, and this won't reach. That's where crocky comes into his own again. We're nearly done though. The extension piece is on. I've overdone the extension too long so I can cut to suit. When I say extension, I'm talking about this here, this tab slots into the existing chassis. Alright, I've just overdone. I'm going to trim that back, and then we're going to slot it in and see how it fits. A little bit of shaping to do on it as well, but before we do that, we'll clean up the rest of these welds. So that goes down there, crocky goes on, and now while we're on, you may as well stay on. You alright with staying on? I want to stay on. You want to crop? Should we crop? Crop till we drop? Let's crop till we drop. Okay. Okay, well there we are after 10 hours of work, I think it was. No, it's not quite. I started at 20 past 8 now. I started at 11 o'clock. 9 hours, yeah, 9-10 hours work. And we're grafted in. Crafted and grafted. We're in. And pretty good blend lines. I've forgotten where it joins. That's good when you do it and you actually forget yourself. I know it joined there. So you can see the fillets inside, of course. We're going to work on them as well and clean them up. It's double welded. Well, it's triple actually. It's outside of each fillet and the middle of each one. Take that off. Take that off. Take that off. Shot blast it. So it'll be really getting a right good treatment because it's been dipped and going to get shot blasted as well. And then we'll paint the inside of this. We can get that looking the nice factory colour. Slow you down. That little tail, as I said, it's made deliberately too long till I measure, and I'll just cut and shape it how I need. Okay, so really we've now got ourselves a repaired leg that follows all the measurements correct, everything's come in, so it's exactly like an original one would be, so we've not lost anything there. Great, we're good to go. I'll call it a day for now. I'm going to get something to eat. Carrying on in 23 then, we'll see you in a minute. Okay, with this piece virtually done, just some tidying up to do on it. It's another day for me. Just join me as I start a new day for you, as always, seconds away. Now then, we've got to start thinking about refitting the leg to the car, but before we do that, there's something that's in the way that we need to address. Okay, so we've not talked about this before, so this is new. You weren't even ready for this one. This edge, we may have talked about it very early on, but this edge is damaged. Look at that. So we're weak and compromised all the way along where the boot's going to land on it. We're getting a nice new boot. We don't want rubbish metal there. Now, some luck has happened in that I've got a good piece of this, which I'm going to join along the top, and we're going to weld it in. So I reckon we need to fit that before the chassis legs go on. So we really need to be thinking about getting that piece in, at least the area here where this chassis leg's going to refit, or indeed we do the entire run, which is probably better. And there's a chassis leg still present on this side, which is a little bit in the way of this, but we're going to use it as a little bit of help to reference this panel. So I'm going to leave the chassis leg in and get rid of the metal surrounding this area, then make a cut along it, and we're going to make the same cut on the donor piece of metal, and we're going to have to get it grafted in because we won't be able to do it once the legs are in place. They're going to block our cut line, and indeed that one at the back is going to be in the way of today's cut line. So we could do with taking the other chassis leg off really, getting that out and then getting this piece in. So I suppose there's no way around it but to pull the other leg out, pull the other chassis leg out and get rid of it so that we can cut this. Or the other way we can do it is just drill the appropriate welds here and get it to peel off. We could do that as well, which may be an idea actually, because it'd help us to line it up. So I think maybe that's the best plan. Take these welds out, cut along there and peel this off. Probably the best bet. That's what I'm going to do, so I'll start marking out now. And we'll do our usual spot weld drills out and try and extract a piece of this metal away and get the new metal in. That's going to be the best option. Let's start with that now. Okay, here's our donor piece I was telling you about. Yellow car to the rescue on this one. Years of stored parts coming to their own again. So that needs to clip it to there. We need to get an idea of the cut line because we're going to cut along the top like that. So we need to get that in exact shape really, and so we can get a good weld on it. So it doesn't quite sit right the way back simply because it's metal over metal. So we have to be careful how we plan this. Best way is to cut out the boot floor now. So get the angle grinder, the slitting disc, take this out of the way and then run down there. But we'll mark a line first because it's going to be two cuts. One cut just to get the remnants of the boot out of the way, and the second cut would be the exact cut, so I'll have to do it twice because otherwise I can't get it to sit properly where I want. So we need to remove, it's going to be quite fun this. I want to remove this mess. Might be able to just trim this away actually, and it might sit there. I'll have a look. Let's just have a little quick look at that in case. Okay, that stage, just peeling back. Now, it's quite handy that chassis still there actually. It'll give us something to rest the bracket on, the new metal on, and it's going to send it in the right direction square-wise. So if I offer the bracket up flat to that, it's going to send it the right way. So that's quite handy, so it's a good job we left that in really. Quite a lot of the boot floor's out. We could do with just removing the boot floor. It's actually of no use really to me here. It's in the way. If we do take the floor out, it's a big game changer. The whole car back end's gone, but the only really thing I need the boot floor was for the chassis legs. Everything else on it's been replaced. I don't really think it's going to be any advantage to keep all this metal here. You know, 2 seconds and it's gone. We may be better off doing that. I'll give it some thought. I'll get back to you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an important service announcement. The boot floor you see behind me, the last remnants, the last outpost, the last outreach of rust in Project Bramble. We've chased the rust to the end and we've cornered it like a fugitive. And here it is, the last outcrop, the last outreach, the last trading post of rust. Gone, banished, like the heater motor in the Mk3, banished to the engine bay for quieter operation. Well, I've been working with the boot intact, okay? You know that. I've been dodging around and ripping various items of clothing on these edges, and we've been using it for reference material. Look at it. Served its purpose to help us and guide us along the way as we approach the end of the rust on the car. However, I've come to the decision to remove the back end completely. This serves no purpose anymore. There are no references that we need from it. We've got fully sliced back ends to use as reference material. We've got real cars on the road to use as reference material. We've measured any points and written them down here for what we might need to guide us in these dark days ahead as we approach the hardest part of the build. You might have thought that roof was the difficult bit. Nope. This is a difficult bit. I'll tell you why. There's so many spot welds. Hundreds of them on them chassis legs. So the chassis legs and this boot floor are the hardest. Now the boot floor's in the way, so I'm going to slice it off, but I'm going to leave this side of the boot floor and this quarter wing on. By removing this, I can get in and do this repair. Here's the piece we've just been looking to fit. We want to get this in. We want to repair the last of the floor section and we want to move backwards. We don't need these. Once the new boot floor arrives, it's going to land on the chassis legs. We're going to fit the boot floor chassis legs, the extendable bits, on when we've done the main chassis run that we just repaired. And we can measure the ends of them and they're going to sit in the boot and they're going to guide themselves anyway. So that's all the alignment's needed here. The quarter wing is going to tell us where we land on there and it's going to pull it up. And all we're going to have to do when it comes to assembling the back of the car is loads of measurements and loads of alignment, twisting and pulling and looking down. So wave goodbye to the back of the car. It's a game-changing moment, probably as much as the roof, as I said. I'm going to slice it off. It's time for it to go. Then I can get in and work better. It's just serving no purpose at all. You're going to see the car at probably almost its lowest point, I guess. Certainly for the back anyway. Goodbye, Eric! Ready? This bit is the blooper clip when we make sure we look normal. Do 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 do. I know you didn't kill him! I know! The little Newt's watching, the little Newt's watching, and Gary's watching too. I know we didn't kill him! I know! Come on, hurry! That weren't supposed to happen, not that quick. Whoops. We've got a bit of a landslide here. Whoops. Best bit of better. Wow! Wow, what a jump. Removing the boot floor was a good move. I've stood back and thought about it. I've cleaned up. We're clean. And you can get to everything. It's brilliant, you can get to everything. Yes. It's not going to be any hindrance. It's only going to help. Okay, so huge hole where our heart used to be. Wow. So we can actually work on stuff, we can see, we can move, it's so much better. We're not tripping over that boot floor. And look how easy it's going to be now to get in to do our repairs on this edge here. Oh yeah, I'm very happy. Yeah, I was a bit apprehensive about it at first, as you saw just then. But it fell out a little bit, but no problem. We're alive, we're going, we've got the measurements, and there was just no need for it anymore. It wasn't serving a purpose. So what we've got to do, it's actually allowed me to think clearer. We've trial fitted the leg, and other than a couple of mil gap there, which I'll just clamp up, and I've not got these on tight, it fits in nice. So we've obviously done the graft job correct. You can see where it just wanders a bit, but that's well within a bit of a bash, a tech screw, a weld, a plug and a clamp, and you're off. That's it's not like, you know, miles away. So that's good. And there was always a gap there. I remember when the floor pan went on, if you look back you can see that little gap. It's just the way the floor pan fits. Alright, so there's not a problem. And look at the idea with these pilot holes that we drilled. Remember we drilled these pilot holes out when we're doing the spots. Look how they line up, and this chassis is not from this car, and look how the holes line up with the spot welds on the floor from the other chassis. So it shows that they used a jig to weld these, because there's no way, it's too much of a coincidence that all of them line back up with the original holes where we drilled it off. So that tells us it's in the right place. It wants knocking over to the right a little bit, I'm not going to pay attention too much to this piece because I grafted that on. In terms of the alignment of the welds, they could be different. Well, having said that, they are right. It wants to come across to my right a little bit, but I've only just clamped it up. Then you'll see what I mean about these welds. Look at the holes, how they're landing in all the same places as the others. Now, they're not going to land exactly right for this reason. When I placed that pilot bit in and I drilled them out, you never really get them in the same area. So what you would get, you'd always be within the circular area probable, which is a tech term for being within a certain radius of a target. So CEP, each one of them, if it hits that, okay, you know your chassis leg's right. What I'd do in this case, as well as measure, is I'd also do an average. So you divide the amount of holes out that are in to the left and that are in to the right and up and down, and you get an average figure of whereabouts you would move it. And the more holes you have, the closer you are to accuracy. So it's a little bit of a mathematic thing. It's irrelevant, I suppose, but I'm just saying, you know, if you said 25 are to the right and 1's to the left, the odds are that it's too far to the right. If 12 are to the left and 12 are to the right, it's most likely that it's nearly in the correct place, if you know what I mean by that. It's just each hole I've drilled, when I've drilled the spot weld, sometimes you nip it to the left and you nip it to the right. So, but it gives you a guide that you're in the right ballpark. At least you're not miles out. So a little bit of science and maths there. Andy Fanshaw liked that one. Let us know, Andy, what you think about circular area probable. Oh, I think it's circular. It's CEP, I think. Anyway, forget about it. It was about a long time ago. I'm drifting. Waffle alert. Ramble alert. Ramble alert. Ramble alert. Ramble alert. Okay. Oh yeah, talking about things on the wall. Frankie! It's Frankie's Mark IV. Look, he's on the calendar because he's in for May. The Mark 1 to 5 calendar's up. I'm naughty. I should have the Mark III calendar up, but I don't own one at the moment. Got a lot of trouble for that one with the club. Frankie! ENO! Nice car, Frankie. Right, so what do we do? Jim, you better give me Jim, ring me up, Jim. Tell me what to do next. Gary, ring us and tell us what to do next. Lee, ring us and tell us what to do next. Everybody else, ring us and tell us what to do next. I know what we're doing next. We're cleaning the end off this. Alright, that's the tail end of the chopped chassis leg. We need that off Bramble. And look at the wreckage. Look at that wreckage. But the chassis leg of Bramble survives. So we now extract that leg out. We also start making preparations to attach the chassis leg, so that would need some paint on the inside of it. Wants to be nicely filled with paint. We don't need to go overboard inside, we just need to blast it full of paint because it's such a rot area. So rather than make it sheeny, shiny inside there, I'm going to leather it. It's only going to get filled with wax oil as well. So my OCD alarm does not continue to the point where it needs to be all shiny inside there. It'll be very clean. I'm not against it, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying for me personally. Okay, let's move. Let's get some work done. Wish me luck. I'm going in. Extracting this rear chassis leg. Breaking it down. Chopping at it. Cutting at it. A little bit tricky to get the spot welds on this one. A lot of corrosion. Trying to get it out in one piece. I've extracted out this end, so we're okay there. Wish me luck. I'm going in. and a strange dust lands on your hands and on your face. Crafted and grafted, dusted and busted, we're ready to rock. We've got the back chassis leg, sun shines out, it's another day, it's a bright new day. We've got an extender piece fitted on this which we're going to weld up now. That fits into that gap there, you can see that's heavily pitted, so we'll just address that as well before we make the two chassis legs together. So that's what we were doing just a few moments ago. And we put it through a proper industrial grade blaster. I think it's worth every penny putting it through there. Those little ones you get from Clark, they're worth about a penny. A bit of lining up and jigging up, getting ready to fit that back trim piece. So I just needed to make sure that everything clamped up, chassis legs in position. And now I'm clamping this, the end of the boot floor, sorry, the end of the floor pan, this is the end of the floor pan. And it needs to graft its way in to the floor pan. This is the repair section, but before we do it, we need to know the exact position. So if you fit the chassis leg and you're happy that it's in the right place, which it is, luckily we can tuck the chassis leg inner bracket into this corner, knowing that that's where it sits. I'll show you what I mean. There's an inner bracket here, touching it now. That's got a sort of right angle on it which fits snugly into the original floor, so that gives you the position of the chassis fore and aft, which indeed lines up with these welds, look, where we drilled out. Now they're not an exact measurement because it's random how you drill them out, and they're not always spaced the same at the factory. They are roughly in the same areas, but the main thing is to have it the right distance, which then means you can clamp this, then scribe a line, a cut line on it, which we've done. We can now take it off, cut a little bit more metal off the original floor, and then this should line up for a 1mm butt weld. And we'll have to get the welder in and go along there. So that's the plan now. I'm going to get on with that, get this piece of metal in. I'll wire brush it when it's on. It's clean on the back. Okay, let's go. Okay, with the piece now in place, you saw the cut line there going down. We just get these nice welding clamps on it, which help to give it evenly spaced and also flush fitting at the top. So you can see there's a bit of a wave in the line. It varies from a couple of mil to about 3mm. However, it's difficult to get a cut match like that. Exactly true. People do mention you can overcut it by placing the metal on the top, then cutting straight through it. You can do that. It's a bit tricky here to do that. I just went with the scribe line and it's okay. We're in. So I'll rig a light up there now and then connect the welding probe. Don't worry about that yellow paint, by the way. We'll just scuff that off because the whole boot's getting shot blasted again anyway. But I've took paint off where there's going to be heat because I don't want that burning and smouldering. And I've cleaned the back side of it too, but again the car gets flipped and shot blasted underneath. However, I have made sure that where the brackets for the chassis leg are going to land on this, that's very clean, and indeed that'll get weld through primer on it before we fit the chassis leg. We need to really get the chassis leg on as soon as we can to just jack the car back straight. The wheel tub is what straightens the car up because it sets the distance between the roof and the floor and basically completes the square that we talk about in terms of strength. We often discuss these shapes, and the square shape going round with a camera to sort of show you the points of the square on this part of the shell. So where the roof joins the back end of the floor pan, that's the corner of your square. So here we've got the wheel tub creating that and into the roof and along and then back into the other point, which is the lower footwell. So that's what creates the actual strength in the shell. Once you lock those four corners together, then you're in. The boot floor itself is just cantilevered off the car. There's actually no strength in it as such because it's actually an overhang. Your strength and rigidity in the shell pretty much ends there. There's probably a little bit in it, but not much. It tends to be more basically overhanging the back, so it's not as critical. The main thing to worry about with the back end is your wing to boot shut lines. That's about your main issue, which is easy to do. You'll notice this here as well because very dangerous sharp edge at the exact height or the approximate height where it could catch your eye. So that's to stop it. It's a very sharp piece of metal, indeed. You'll see why. Have a look. That's not my cat. That's done that. That's this. So we discover that. And we're ready to do it. So enough of the and on with the bump. Let's go. Trudging back over pebbles and sand, and the strange dust lands on your hands and on your face, on your face, on your face. Your face, every day is like Sunday. Boom! Oh. Right, glasses off. Are you ready? You ready? Oh! 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 What I do is just tack by each one, and then you can take them out. Okay, I'm just stood by the camera with you. If you look along, we've got stitch welds all the way in, holding it flush. So now I can continue and do an infill and get a line going all the way down. I'm not going to go all the way to the other end where the chassis leg is. I've got to be really wary that I don't actually weld it back to the chassis leg. It's currently free from the chassis leg because that's not detached yet. So we're going to just go about 3/4 of the way down with this, and we'll complete the rest of the weld when the chassis leg's actually removed. Otherwise we run the risk of welding to it. So stay online now and I'll put a few more welds in. Okay, shot blasted, primed and treated. This is our chassis leg. Basic zinc paint and some weld through on it. We could go body colour. Should we go body colour? I don't know really, because I'm going to spray the body colour into here and mask off those. Could do. I'm going to give that some thought. But just getting around it, we've got to clean up now. It soon gets messy. We're just getting ready now under here, so I've just got a bit more primer to go on, and then we're going to line up the leg to go. That's begun to be ground back. I've only gone so far as the area around where the leg's going to weld. What we're going to do, we've got a nice little trick. We're just going to keep the original spot welds here. Can you see them imprints? Because when I removed the old leg off this one, I ground it from the back, leaving imprints there. Well, I'm not going to drill through those. I'm going to drill new plug weld holes here, which will get ground flat. These will be left, so it'll look like factory welds. It's a little trick which will improve the look in the boots. When you look at the boot, you'll see that the proper, because I don't even be able to get the spot welder in. We might be able to. I don't know if it will reach those front ones. It's worth a shot. If it doesn't, then at least we've got these nice, because these are quite big imprints, and my spot welder don't make an imprint that big, so you would never really get it with my welder. So we've kept them. I'm going to wind it up for today now and move. They've got a bank holiday weekend coming up, so I'm going to do some car shows, so this won't be till next week when I'm back on this, but I've done a lot today. So we'll resume after the bank holiday weekend. Got to really have a break now, get some R&R. But that's where we're up to. Not bad for a day's work. We're going to join the remaining chassis leg later on, because otherwise it's going to get in the way. What do you reckon? It's going to be sticking right out, and we can use the boot to help us get the exact slide forward or back into the front section of the chassis. So I wouldn't want to get it wrong, so I might as well leave that till later when the boot floor arrives. So that's where we're up to there. We've got to drill some welds, some holes here for the plug welds. Again, spot welder won't get in, so we need to drill out for the plug welds in the floor. How we get the markings of them is we fit the chassis leg, then mark round with a pen on the floor, take the chassis leg off and drill just inside of each line, so you'll get your plug welds just in the right spot, or your 8mm holes for the plug welds just in the right spot. It was all tidy this morning. What a mess, an absolute mess. There's stuff everywhere, it just explodes, doesn't it? Look how it just explodes. Anyway, that's all signs of heavy workmanship. And we're pushing the rust out. It's nearly gone, isn't it, everyone? As we push towards the back. But that back repair's gone in nice. I like that. It's going to look smart, this. Nice and tidy. Okay, laid and sprayed and ready to go. Some nice layers of that final paint on there. Just may as well lever it on. I just thought, you know, it could do a good waterproof paint on there. Of course, can't get it on every surface because the welder's going to be going in and burning it all up. They'll get that paint on, and then also loads of wax oil. So we're pretty much done for that. We're ready to fit that up to the shell after the bank holiday. I'll have a break for now. Catch you in a few minutes. Join us, TC's first road trip. We hope you're enjoying this summer drive. TC's on the road. We're road testing now, making sure everything's tickety-boo. TC, TC. Just good honest motoring.